You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
And good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. The show is brought to you by K5 Construction. Again, K5 Construction, our name sponsor for this season, K5 Construction. I gotta get my information out here first. K5 Construction is a family-owned and operated custom builder in central Wisconsin that stands out from the rest for its commitment to quality and excellence. From design and planning to final construction, K5 Construction delivers superior results on every project. With former Newman Catholic High School boys basketball coach Jeff Gress, I'm Chad Holmes. Coming up here on our penultimate episode of the season. Yep, we're down to our final two before we shut things down until August. Coming up in about half an hour, maybe a little less than half an hour, we'll be joined by Merrill boys basketball coach Troy Pieper, because he was so excited after last season going up against you and talking about the state boys basketball tournament, breaking things down. Wanted to do it again, so he's coming on. We'll talk about his team and its season. I wonder how I'm curious to hear about what he thinks. He almost beat Wausau East, and now East is down at the state tournament. So we'll talk to Troy Pieper coming up at about 6:30. But first of all, we're changing things up a little bit because we're very happy to welcome in our student-athlete guest for this week from Wausau West High School, Claire Calbus. And Claire, thank you for popping on over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I got to ask you, is practice still on tonight?
No, unfortunately, it's not.
But the reason we're having Claire on at 6:06 to start things off is because softball is underway. Softball practice started this weekend. The Wausau West softball team was scheduled before all the snow came in to practice tonight, but still glad you could make it on over. There's a lot to talk about because, number one, you play a lot of sports. I mean, volleyball, hockey, softball. Let's start with the softball here because you're starting off a new season as a senior, as somebody that's been on the varsity since a freshman, knowing what's in the future, heading to Wisconsin. How exciting of a time is this going into your final softball season?
It's so exciting to especially play with the seniors who we've grown up with, and especially like some of my closest teammates who not only do I play with West for, but also travel ball too, knowing that it's our last season and we have a lot to give. I mean, we have 8 seniors right now, and that's pretty close to a whole field. We're one of the most older groups that we have, and we're experienced, and we can all put it out on the field for our last season, and we have a lot to give and a lot to show, and I'm excited because all of our girls are eager and we want it, and we're coming in sitting in the middle of the conference about right now, and I'm just excited because we have and we've been working, and we will continue to work to show what Wausau West softball is about.
How do you deal with the range of emotions with the weather? One of the things I always like, our softball coaches at the school I work at were just ecstatic to go outside the other day. They're like, yeah, we won't be in the gym that long. We're going outside. And now, today and maybe the next day, there's not going to be those outside opportunities. So how does that emotion ever toy with you? Because the weather gets nice, you get excited, you get to go outside, and it really feels like it's supposed to be springtime for sports, and then all of a sudden you get what we're looking out the window here at with the winter weather. Is that hard to combat, or do you just take it in stride and hit the drills you got to do, whether it's inside or outside?
We hit the drills as we can, but to think that yesterday you could have been outside practicing in a t-shirt and everything, you have your practice plan, it's all set and you can run through it, and now today we go to not even having practice. But we have a good open gym where we can you can get your fly balls pretty much in there, and we can still go through the drills and the just working through fundamentals. So this first week has been pretty heavy on fundamentals and getting back into the game. So we're working on, honestly, for hitting tee work, a lot of tee work, and just getting some front toss, getting girls back into like the swing of things, but also on the defensive side of it, working through mechanics with our fielding, which as it is only the first week, it's easier to be in the gym. But as we get like farther in the season, where you need that live at bats and you need where the outfield can get their full range of motion and really work on tracking the balls down and everything, it's going to be a lot harder with the weather, especially with it having to be snow one day and then you have to wait for the field to drain and dry all up, because we do have a grass outfield, which it gets muddy. It gets really muddy and really holy. So to have that's going to be harder towards the middle of the season. But for now, it's working out pretty good.
You mentioned that you have experience on this team, and obviously it's been a building process, because you said it. You started with some of these girls as young players, freshmen and sophomores, and then juniors, and now a lot of seniors. Could you talk a little bit about some of the girls that you are leaning on this season for Wausau West to try to take that step? Because I think we've seen steps, but now time is running out. You want to probably make some significant steps. Who are some of the leaders besides yourself on this team that we'll see starting in early April?
Yeah, so you have our center fielder, which will be Taylor Liebout, who is also playing Division I softball. She'll be playing at Illinois State, and she is just a phenomenal outfielder. Really talks in the outfield, and she leads them. She leads by example, and as a person as well, she leads the team very, very well. And especially as seniors, you can tell that that the underclassmen look up to her, but also in the outfield, knowing that she has that experience and she has the high-level IQ in the outfield, that the girls do lean on her. And then we have Addie Heil behind the plate. She's been our catcher for 3 years now, and she does a phenomenal job as well, leading the field and working with our pitchers. And then in the infield, our second baseman, Peyton Kelmis, she has also been at second and has been phenomenal there as well, just running the middle infield smooth and helping with the infield and the pitchers as well in direction with the outfield. We have a good middle of the field way of leading, and those are just some. I mean, all of our seniors are incredible, and they are key players in making our team successful and the success we will have in the future. But those are just a few that comes right up to mind.
How about looking at the conference too, now that you've been around it long enough and been in it, and you see all these teams and you kind of have an idea of who's up and coming and who's maybe losing some to graduation and who will be strong. What do you think of the conference this year? Is it a stronger conference? Are there teams you're looking forward to playing? Are there teams that you know are going to be a battle? Your kind of, I guess, analysis of where the conference stands and who you got to go against.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to playing Everest this year. Of course, we have friends on Everest, and all of the girls. We have our relationships, we have our friendships. So when we get on the field, we compete. But you look at like Addie Cluck hitting off of her this year. We've seen her for 4 years now. Then we've got an idea of what we're going to see when we get up to the plate, and working with the pitches she throws. And now we're more educated and we understand what that's going to look like to help put us ahead in prep for that game. And also, like, they have a strong offense. Their whole lineup hits. So knowing like that as well, our pitchers, what we're going to pitch, throwing type things like that, and where our field needs to be, and like really like strengthening our defense, especially when we face them, which that's one of, I know, not only mine, but a lot of the seniors' favorite game to play, because it is so intense and it's there. The other one that comes to mind is Spash. Absolutely, they are incredible. Incredible coach, incredible team, and they're always strong. No matter what, you always know that Spash is someone who you need to compete with. And last year we had it really close up until the 6th inning, and unfortunately things did kind of take a downhill, but we were right there. So I know that a lot of our seniors do also know that is in reach, and it's the pushing a little more, and in practice, those little things and the intent that we put through and being mindful about like when you're doing your everydays, really doing with purpose, that's going to put us ahead and it's going to get us those games. So I have a really high hope that maybe being second in conference this year. I mean, Everest has again, a phenomenal program, and they do lead pretty consistently. But I know we can make it close and that we can push.
Again, we're talking to Claire Kalmus from Wausau West here on the Big High School Sports Show. I want to kind of go into the game a little bit because you mentioned Addie Cluck. And obviously she has been just phenomenal in the circle. And in softball, whether it's at the high school level and at the college level, which we'll talk about, having that pitcher that can be dominant is such a big factor. As you get into the box against somebody like Addie Cluck, what goes through your mind? What is the challenge against that top-notch pitcher, kind of pitcher that has the capability on any given day to be as close to perfect as possible? Your mindset in those kind of situations when you obviously with your skills and obviously the Wisconsin Badgers see your talent as well against somebody like Addie Cluck, who's obviously one of the best, not just in this area but in the state. Talk a little bit about that matchup when you face her.
Yeah, walking to the plate, it's always calm mind. It's having a plan when you get into the box, and each batter has their own plan. But, I mean, you have your outline of what pitchers throw. Addie has a great rise ball, and she usually starts off her count. I'm giving my secrets away. And she starts off her counts as working the outside of the plate. So knowing that if you get one early, and she likes to start ahead. She always likes to start ahead. So as a hitter, with the first three batters in the game, not only are you seeing what the umps are calling and where they're favoring and what works and what doesn't work, and especially in the field too, when your pitcher is throwing, I'm aware of where, he's calling that. Oh, that's not a place he's going to hit. He likes them high, or whatever it may be, whatever umpire's behind the plate. But going to the box, you have that IQ of what he's calling. So you're a step ahead. And then also knowing the pitches that the pitcher is going to throw. So it's just laying off the rise. And starting early in the count, I know she's going to want to get ahead on me, so right when I get in the box, when I get that outside pitch, I'm going for it. Just drive it to right field, find right center gap, and just then run the bases. But when things don't exactly go the way that you can, it's always protect, and just staying short to the ball. But the biggest key to hitting is mental, and I know I can do it. I know that when I get in the box, the amount of work and the amount of time that I've put in is going to pay off because I've spent hours on the tee. I put my time in and I hit front toss, and all of these things that I've done to train for, I can trust myself in the box, and I know that I'll get it done.
So the way you just described all that was impressive, because I know when I played, and when I played softball, I'm out there to just make sure I can make the play, see it. I'm not thinking about. So your description and your insight into what you're looking for, I thought was a cool way you described it all. How much preparation and thinking how important is that mentality to the game? I mean, and how do you keep stretching it? Because you know what I mean. You're watching in the game, you want to keep getting yourself farther. You're playing at the college level. How much do you have to work at that mental part as much as you do the physical part, the thinking part of softball?
Yeah, I think honestly, the mental part of softball is about 85% of it. It's a game of failure. And you have to be okay with failing too. Failing is what gets you to know knowledge and to grow as a player. So even when you fail, it's taking the little things out of it. And I think that's how you stretch your knowledge, is that you're going to fail and it's going to happen. So you have to understand and reflect on why did that happen? What could I have done instead? And then grow from it instead of thinking of, I made an error, or this could have costed this. It's just thinking positively and learning from the mistakes you make. And each game you're probably going to make a mistake. So that's how you widen. And also watching videos. I mean, I watch a lot of college softball. So, and when you go to camps, you also hear the way coaches talk. And some of the best camps that I've been to talk about, they have a little session where they talk to you about when you get in the box, what do you think about? And the key takeaways, it's just paying attention to those little things and taking things that may work for you, or maybe you try them and they don't work, and that's okay too, because you're figuring it out and you're figuring out what works for you as a player. But it took me a while. I think it took me till a year or two ago to really understand and be mentally absolutely concrete in the way that I would like to show up to the plate and how I want to play. And again, it's through watching videos and through listening to coaches. And I think watching the game has helped me so much, because you hear, even when you're watching on ESPN and they interview the coaches, of thinking, well, when the girls get in the box, they need to do this and need to do this. And you're like, okay, I understand. And it's just taking those little things. And there's so many ways to grow the game and to strengthen and grow your IQ and understand the little parts of it. Because the little parts of it that you do understand are what puts you ahead in the long run.
Along those same lines, as you take that next step, and obviously the step to go to the University of Wisconsin to play Division I softball is a major step. What are the areas that you've been thinking about, have been working on, to try to be as prepared as possible when you get onto campus next fall?
Yeah, so obviously you're playing Division I softball, and it's a lot quicker. I mean, the girls, you can go on as a freshman. I'll be 18 and I can play against a girl who's 23. That is a full-grown woman, and I'm still coming in of my newly adult self, I'm still trying to figure out life, and I'm trying to, grow and find myself in my body and everything too. So these girls are stronger, they're faster. They've been through it. They've been playing this game. They could be here for 2 years or 3 years, and it's just getting up to that level. So I've been in the weight room a lot, and that's a key part of it too. And also just I attended some of the Wisconsin camps, and throughout that too, there's like key things that I needed to work on. So getting quicker with my throws when you're on the run. It should be catch it off your left foot, release on your right foot right then and there. Because now in college softball, you see when those left-handed slappers lay down the bunt, I think it's not 2.9 seconds. You got to get there and you got to get the ball out. So it's just being quicker and being more, I'm thinking of the word, being right with your movement, especially with the time, because you don't have much time and you've got to do it to the best. I can't exactly think of the word, but you get what I mean.
Yes.
So it's just little things like that. It's the same mechanics. I mean, every days are something that you always need. Those never get old. And I still practice those, but it's also pushing my arm slots, because you're always stuck in positions that you never know what you never know what you're gonna be in. Especially with softball, you can practice, you can get 100 ground balls, and the next day you'll see one that you've never gotten before. So it's just practicing everything that could be thrown at you, and then the other part of it is just getting faster, keeping my speed, and just being more powerful.
And obviously, you have a program you like, the softball place with Wisconsin. What else did you like about there? Because obviously there's always more than sports. Is there other things that kind of attract you to that university that once you got there, you're like, this is pretty cool? Yeah,
when I stepped foot on campus, I mean, I remember when I was on the show last year, I told you I just came from a Wisconsin camp a few days ago, and I was like, it would be amazing to be a Badger. I want to be a Badger. And I thought that was funny on the way here, because I just thought about that. But when I stepped on campus, I knew it was home. It's always been my dream. It always has. I mean, every little girl in Wisconsin who's playing softball wants to play for their home state. But what really hit me was not only the team dynamic, but the way the girls talk to each other, the way they interact, and especially with the coaches. The coaching staff is incredible, and the team is a family, and you can see that. It's incredible, and I'm so excited to be a part of that. But the campus is absolutely beautiful as well, to be in the city and with everything around. But I think one of the things that excite me the most is seeing all the other sports there too. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge competitor, and I absolutely love all athletics. So knowing that I get to watch basketball, I get to watch hockey, I get to watch wrestling and soccer. It's exciting, and just knowing that all these athletes are here to compete, and they're here at the highest level too. So also getting to know those athletes too, because they put in just the amount of work that I have too, and they're trying to get farther, and they're trying to take the next step too. So that's incredible, and I'm so excited for that.
Do you have any idea what the course of study you may get into, or is it going to be a little open as you start?
Yeah, so I'm going to be studying physical education while minoring in special ed, and the part of that is I've had so many teachers who have really impacted me, and not only most of them have played the role of a coach as well, but they have made such a crucial impact in my life that like the few I think of, not only have they been great teachers, but I've befriended them as well. And those people have helped me with life decisions and growing up and maturing and realizing and getting to the point where I am today that I want to be that, and I want to be that source for a kid as well. I'll also be coaching sports as well. I hope to come back and coach 2 or 3 sports, and then in the summer I'll be running camps and clinics, trying to help other athletes get recruited and get to the next level and dream big as well.
But, go ahead. Before we wrap up, I got to talk about hockey, because obviously you had such success in high school hockey, winning 2 state championships in 3 years, and this year not able to play. How difficult was it? And for folks who are not familiar with the story, why did you not play this year?
I was not cleared to play, unfortunately. So throughout my hockey career, I've had a few concussions, and in the state championship game, I was hit again, and I did have another concussion that has left me with cognitive issues, where I have seen many doctors, and when I say many, I mean 5 or 6, and we kept on going to them to hope that one at least said, yes, you can play, and it never happened. So I wasn't cleared to play, and that was extremely hard for me. I mean, I love hockey, I love to compete, and the success that I've had in it too. I was eager for more. I wanted another state championship, and I wanted another year. I wanted to finish with my girls, but they have been so amazing. And for the seniors, like 2 state championships and a runner-up is incredible. They should be so incredibly proud of themselves. And the freshman goalies have to be a freshman and to make it to state and to have that opportunity as well is incredible. And you can see how much they've been working and how much it's paid off. And they have a bright future ahead of them.
You said earlier that you're a great competitor. Was that the hardest part, not being able to compete over the last number of months?
Yeah, especially always having a sport. I've never really been out of season. So not having something to go to from 3 to 6 it's difficult. I mean, I've spent my time in the gym and working with softball, but it's still different. It's still not being on the ice, on the court, or the field, having that compete aspect of it. And just like against other players too, it's just something I miss. I don't think there's a way to describe it, but it's a feeling that you only get from competing and from playing sports against other people and having people around you like push you, and to ultimately compete for the state championship. That's something that always pushed me, and I was always, it was more always to be to push to be the best I can. And it was hard not to have that. I missed hockey so much. I couldn't explain it. But again, I'm really proud of them, and they have a great future ahead of them.
On the more positive note, because it's always tough to be hurt, not get to do what you want, especially in your senior year. You said you got to dive in the time with the gym and put more time into your softball because it was so much harder because you were balancing sports and you were fully involved in the one, yet keeping tabs on the one on the side that's coming up in the spring. How much, you shared a little off air with it, but how much do you think that this preparation now, because you got to take all that energy and dive into getting to where you want to be in softball, is going to be so vital to get you out ahead almost? I mean, are you looking forward to being like, now you feel like you can be a little bit more out ahead for this coming spring sports season because you got time to dive into stuff where you just didn't have the time, but yet it filled the void a little bit, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so much stronger. And when you lift in season, it looks different than out of season. So I built so much strength and so much power that going into season now, I'll still lift. I'll get my work in, but I'm maintaining that strength, and I'm keeping my body where I've gotten it to. So I know, like, within myself, I have a lot more faith in the power I can put front and the strength I have. Like, even hitting, I've seen such a difference. When I hit now, I mean, my exit velo it's raised. It has. And my contact, it's going far, and it's really paying off. It's paid off too. And it's happy to hear that. It's happy to see that too, because it's been so hard. And I know instead of being at a sport, I've now fueled all my time into the gym, and to see that and feel it pay off too has made it a lot easier. Not having hockey, but I have a whole new confidence, and I feel like I'm going to a season where I know I'm ready right now to compete, and I'm at my max. I'm right there. I'm climbing up to it. It's right ahead of me. Where when I was in season that I might not have touched a bat for a week because, well, you're traveling all week and you have practices. Where now I've been hitting, I've been active, I've been doing all of my things where I'm already prepped and I'm ready to go. So I can go into season at my full potential, and I'm ready to compete, and I'm ready to win.
When's the last game that you were in? A real game. Was it volleyball? Or have you got anything?
Yeah, it was volleyball.
So it's been a while.
Volleyball.
So how much are you looking forward to that first game of the softball season?
I am so excited, especially like senior year first game, and I'm excited for people to see what West's about in the work we're putting in. Mm. I mean, I see the girls who've been showing up and working so hard, and I don't want to say we're the underdogs because we've always been the middle of the pack, but I feel like we're often overlooked, and I'm excited because I can see the team and the grit and the want from especially like all the seniors that we're ready and we want it. But to be back on the field, I miss softball so much. I walk around every day thinking, wow, I really miss softball, and just to play again, it'll make my heart full.
Anything else?
Yeah, well, that's why for the one I like, and then you can end with the other one. I'm pretty sure I know the answer because it's just what you shared. But you're a multi-sport athlete. You can just tell by the way you describe it what it's meant to you and how big a deal is it. So fast forward a couple months here, and you're into graduation, and school's done, which high school sports is done, and you're on to the next journey. What do you miss the most about your high school sports career once it's all said and done?
There's a lot. The people, but then the way we push each other. And I know that when I get to college, that's going to be there. It's going to be a whole new level. But I think it's the girls. It's like the bus rides. The bus rides home after, I remember like even after we won state my junior year, the bus ride home was incredible. It's something I will never forget. And it's like little time like that at the moment you think that, oh, I've got next Thursday to ride the bus home, or, well, we're gonna go here, so it's all right. But when you get off the bus for the last time too, it's like, wow, look at all that just happened. And of course, playing the sport, you always remember, oh, I made that diving play, and I've won 2 state championships. But the little things and the people that you're around, that's what you really look back to the experiences on. And I'll forever be grateful for the memories that we've made.
And I guess finally, and I'm going to ask, before I ask the question, how many letters have you won? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think 8.
Based on all the experience you've had, and obviously you got a little bit more to come here in the spring, and for somebody just coming into the program, based on everything you've gone through. I mean, obviously you've had great success. You've had to battle injury. You've gone through the recruiting process, experienced a lot. What piece of advice for an incoming freshman would you give based on your experiences?
Your actions show through your work. So when I think about it, coming into freshman year, you look around and you're like, wow, these girls are good. They're older and they've been through it all. But work hard. Really, really work hard. Put your head down, work hard. Do the things that the other people aren't doing. So go to the gym. Get extra reps in after practice, because while that's going to make you so much better, but that's what's going to put you ahead. And that's how you get places. And it's also the person you are. The biggest part about athletics, it doesn't matter how hard you can throw a ball or how hard you can hit. It's the person and the human being you are. I mean, for those who are trying to get recruited, every coach is going to tell you that they want a good human. They want someone who they can call their friend and they can depend on too. That's what your teammates want. And the coaches want someone who they know who's a respectful and a responsible kid. And that'll be a good fit in their program. And the key to being that kid is to being a good human. Make the right choices, even when everyone else around you isn't. Always be the one who makes the right choices and sticks to what you stand for. And that's something that, especially now in today's age, is pretty hard to do. But that's for us people who are playing athletics in college and are going on and who have been through the recruitment process. That's what really made you stand out to a coach. Yes, if a coach looks at you, they know that you have the athletic ability. They already know it. They're going to look at the person you are. And every coach wants a good human. So it's always to be a good person no matter what.
Claire Kalmus, Wausau West High School. Looking forward to seeing you on the diamond here very, very soon. Congrats on all the success, and really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a quick time out and then come back with our coach guest for this week from Merrill High School, boys basketball coach Troy Pieper. That's coming up next. Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO.
Champions are crowned at the WIAA Girls Basketball State Tournament over the weekend. I'm Travis Wilson, and this is a WisSports.net Minute brought to you by Just a Game Fieldhouse in Wisconsin Dells. More high school sports news after this. You may have heard of Just a Game Fieldhouse in Wisconsin Dells, one of the country's premier destinations for youth sports and events, but did you know that Just a Game does so much more? Just a Game also delivers end-to-end apparel, equipment, and event solutions. With their state-of-the-art screen printing and embroidery facility, they can help with branding for your team and business items, including uniforms, apparel, and more. Just a Game also offers digital services that include a cashless digital platform and event live streaming. Just a Game has also added a second brand new facility in Reedsburg. Find more information at justagame.com. Defense and low-scoring affairs were the name of the game at the WIAA Girls Basketball State Tournament over the weekend. Just one team, Tosa East in the D2 semifinals, eclipsed 70 points, while 9 teams were limited to under 40 points. That doesn't mean there was a lack of excitement, however, as there were a number of close games throughout, including the first ever triple overtime game. In Division 5, Assumption took down Barneveld 34-33 to claim the title, marking the 5th time the teams have met in a state championship game. Cuba City claimed a record 12th state title, going from the 4th seed in D4 in the state tournament field to champs after defeating top-seeded the Prairie School in the semifinals and St. Mary Catholic in the championship game. Oostburg, led by head coach Isaiah Ketterhagen and his 3 outstanding daughters, won the Division III crown over Xavier. Wauwatosa East and Edgewood went into triple overtime to decide the Division II title and the longest girls basketball state tournament game ever played, and it was the upstart Tosa East Red Raiders who were victorious in the closing seconds of the final period, 59-58. Top-seeded Kimberly posted a pair of dominating wins to secure the Division I state title. We'll preview this weekend's boys basketball championships later in the week. This has been a WisSports.net Minute. Check us out online at WisSports.net.
And welcome back. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Thanks again to Claire Kalmus for joining us here on the program here this evening. And now time for our coach guest for this week from Merrill High School, head boys basketball coach of the Blue Jays, Troy Pieper. And Coach, glad to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, obviously the season has come to an end. It was an interesting year for your team. I mean, you had some ups, you had some downs. You gave a great battle to a team that's ultimately making it to the state tournament. When you put it all together, when you've had a chance to decompress a little bit over the past couple of weeks, what has stood out?
To be honest, I'm still processing everything because that game against East was a heartbreaker. I thought we had our chances. I thought we kind of had that game where we wanted to have it. So it's taken longer than normal to kind of get on to the next part of that grieving stage of the end of the season, I guess. But I thought we had a solid year. It would have been nice. We competed really well in the conference, competing wise. They didn't result in wins always, but I thought we really held our own against some really good opponents all year, and clearly, the Valley, like we've been saying all year, is no joke. You know, sending 2 teams to the state tournament is pretty impressive, and 2 teams that we battled with. The first time Marshfield handed it to us pretty good. The second time we were leading Marshfield at halftime. East at our place. The second go round of the conference schedule. I think we were down 2, kind of had the lead. It was back and forth pretty much the whole game. Had a chance a little bit down the stretch. Had a couple turnovers that cost us, and then in the playoff game, same kind of situation where we had the ball, the chance to tie or win the game, and it just didn't go our way. And then you kind of see how things played out after that with the teams that East played, and 2 of them, how they handled them. It really makes you wonder what could have been and what if. But that's the joys and the lows of sports. You get really excited, and for East and Marshfield, their communities and their schools are at an ultimate high right now. And teams that lose by 2 points are still trying to get over it still, and that's kind of where we are. But in all, I thought we really competed. I'm proud of the effort all year. I knew we would compete with East. Again, we can talk about the computer seedings all we want. I thought we could have been a little bit higher. I think the games kind of played that way. I don't know if East was really excited to play us, their first playoff game of the year, but it was what it was. It was a heck of a game. It was a great environment, and just an overall good game.
And I like your analysis. I think it's a big deal too. I know sometimes everybody, players, coaches, program, everybody checks everything at the scoreboard at the end of the day. But sometimes I think so much as a program as a whole is such a stepping stone into life, and just this idea of being able. I think the idea of being able to compete is a big deal, because that's what makes the young men that you work with in your program what they are. They've got to fight through adversity. They got to rejoice in all the positives that are going on and survive what they don't like and try to make it bigger. And I just think it culminates into life. How you spend so much time with these young men, and like you talk about the I totally get the decompression after you put all your heart and soul into it, and then the same thing with the highs and the lows. How difficult can seasons be, or how does this, how hard is a season at times, and how much fun is it at the same time with how it plays out? I just think it's an awesome brand of thing. But just kind of from your view, those range of emotions that can fly over, how do you interpret that and do that and deal with that?
Again, I think from a player and coach, and even I guess a fan standpoint, really, but really people that are in it day in and day out, every day at practice, the morning workout, all the stuff that goes into the season. I think there's such that's what, not just basketball, but just sports in general. The great thing is every time you step on the floor, there's a very good chance it's going to be a life lesson in how you react to the positive. Do you act like you belong and like you've done it before, or do you act like a fool? Or if you lose a close game, how do you react and how do you bounce back? It's all life lessons of things that are going to happen, maybe not necessarily by a score per se, but by not getting a job. You felt like you were deserving of the job, and you did everything you had to do. You put every ounce of effort you had into your resume and your interview. But it's real life. Sometimes some people just know some people, and they just get it. And you have to. How do you bounce back from that? Do you give up? And how do you? So sports just teaches you so much. As far as the highs and lows of the season, it going in. The athletes even do. The coaches, for sure, if you've been in it long enough, there's going to be ultimate highs that us coaches and you can attest to. You don't appreciate the highs as much as you dwell on the losses as coaches. Like you win some great games, and when you look back after the season and we still talk about when we beat Mosinee a few years ago in the 7-2 game. Like those are the kind of games that you appreciate, but you're not really in the moment appreciating until after the fact. Where the losses just stick with you from the second the game's over until you get to try again. So there's that. But the group I had this year, as far as the grinds go, because there's always 24 games is a lot in the amount of time we play it. And the group I had every day showed up. We worked hard, but we also had fun. And it's a fine line. Sometimes you can get squirrely and have too much fun and you don't get anything accomplished. We never really had those days. We could joke around. We could laugh every day, win or loss, coming off a loss, coming off a few losses in a row, getting beat handily the first time against Marshfield, coming back that next day to practice and being like, or no, I think we played the next day actually. And you just, this group was a fun group to be around. And every group's a new group. You lose seniors. We lose 6 seniors. So next year's group, you hope they can, the juniors and sophomores that are on the team learn, and they teach it to the next group, and it just keeps going, and then it turns into wins. But yeah, last year was just a year filled with adversity, and it wasn't that it was a fun group not to be around. Like, we had fun. It was a great group too, but it was just every time we got our footing last year, it's like somebody took our feet out from under us, and it was start over, and it was really mentally taxing last year. This year, while sure I thought, or you could look at our schedule and see certain games where it's like, they let that one get away or whatever, and we could have had a few more wins. But in a whole, and especially how we were kind of striving the right way at the playoffs, it was such a much more fun season where you really didn't want it to end this year. This year was a blast. We lose some good seniors. Like I said, the loss to East is taking a little longer than normal to get over, I guess you could say.
And what I like also, which we've talked about before, and with a lot of the Valley coaches, is how strong the Valley was. So I guess my question is, because you guys are going to the Great Northern next year, have you gone through your schedule already and decided, like, you get to keep some of the teams, to keep some of those rivalries, or whether there's playoff implications or whatever it is? I guess looking forward, your assessment of going into the Great Northern, as well as, is there anything you guys are still, as a school, a basketball program at Merrill, latching onto to kind of keep some of those Valley rivalries alive? How'd you guys set up your schedule, and what are you looking forward to about going to the Great Northern, even though the Valley was great this year?
Yeah, a couple things there. First of all, there were so many great senior basketball players in the Valley this year that made the Valley really, really, really good. They're graduating. So the Valley, not that they're ever going to really take a full step back or down, but I think the conference is coming back to reality a little bit next year, where the GNC was loaded with underclassmen. So we're going into what we're leaving this year, kind of. I think the GNC is going to be really good. A lot of really good juniors that are going to be seniors next year in the GNC. I already started going through all the film I have of them and starting to write down rosters and stuff and getting familiar with names and stuff. So I'm ready for summer and next year ahead of time. But that was more my therapy to get over the East loss too, is just to move on to GNC teams. But as far as our schedule, I've always said this when we were in the Valley definitely gets us ready for the playoffs if we get through the Valley healthy. But also only playing those teams once would also get us prepared. Instead of having to play Marshfield on a Tuesday and Spash on a Friday, back-to-back, we can kind of pick our days to play them teams. So we still have Valley teams on our schedule. East decided they didn't want to continue, but we play West at the Turkey Shoot. I think we're playing Marshfield still, playing Everest, not playing Spash, and playing Rapids. So we're playing everybody but Spash and East next year, and that'll be plenty of challenge. I'm not one to really, and maybe I need to start so I stop complaining about the seeds and the computers and make my schedule fit to get a good seed. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of play everybody and beat whoever's in front of you anyway. So I'd rather be prepared for that game than just say, hey, look, we're a 3 seed, because I kind of finagled my schedule to make the computers like it. So we'll be ready. The top half of the GNC is really good. I mean, I'm not going to even try to say we're going into a conference that is as good as the Valley, because it's all D1 schools. and we're going into a conference of D2 and a couple D3. But the top half of the GNC is going to be really good. Pines included. They have first-team all-conference player coming back, a junior who can shoot it. He's really talented. So Pines is going to be right there. What I like about it, it gives us a legitimate goal, I believe, year in and year out to say we truly do have a chance to win this conference this year. And that's exciting for the program. That's exciting for the community, the school. So we'll see. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. But I'm excited for it. It'll be a welcome change, I think, for our program.
Again, we're talking to Merrill High School boys basketball coach Troy Pieper here on the Big High School Sports Show presented by K5 Construction on 98.9 WXCO. You mentioned the number of seniors generally in the conference, and you had, 7, I think, seniors on your varsity roster this year. As you look forward.
6 that finished with us, yeah.
Okay, 6, still quite a few. As you look forward, looks like a lot of positions to be filled. And I guess beyond, looking at next year, but just generally looking at the program as a whole. Obviously, your program has had some stability with you and your staff. How do you feel about the program going into the future?
I'm actually really excited. Yes, we're losing two really talented players in Corey Page and E.J. Weiss and a rare athlete, Nathan Houghton. Those are our 3 seniors that were our main guys. Carter Kaminsky could shoot it. But really, when people look at our thing, like when we send our little preview thing that we have to fill out to Mark Miller, he's going to pick us somewhere to middle to below in the GNC just because of what he sees in points we're losing and the people we're losing. But when you really look at our roster and dig deep, we're returning our 3 best shooters. Our only big guy we had this year, that's 6'6". So there's plenty to build around, and there's a lot of pieces that are coming in incoming juniors and sophomores that will fill their role real nicely. So I'm pretty excited. I don't know if we'll surprise anybody. I don't think it's anything like that, but where people might think, they have to fill. We only have 1 starter returning. Every year you look at our roster, it's more or less going to be that way. I'm one of those guys that believes in my seniors have been here, they've done it. I want to start the game with my experience, and then we can work and play the game the way it goes from there with the underclassmen and everybody else. And just because you start might not mean you're going to get the most minutes, but I feel I always like to start a game with as much experience on the floor as I can, and next year will be no different. It'll probably be for sure 3 seniors and Tyson, and then that 5th spot's probably still up in the air for kind of anybody. But it's you can look at a roster many ways and be like, oh yeah, they're going to be down or they're going to be up. I really do like what we're bringing back. I think we have guys that are coming back that, if we didn't have 2 such really good ball players that were seniors this year, probably people would be like, oh my gosh, he's coming back and he's coming back and he's coming back, because they would have had more shots. They played their role this year. Now next year they step into a bigger role, and they learn that role and that leadership this summer. And that's kind of the pattern we like. It's when you don't have that next group is when it gets worrisome. But I like what I see throughout the program for years to come, to be honest.
By the way, Mark Miller is going to be tuned in, and he's going to have all this information. He's going to use it as part of the yearbook next year, and he's going to have Merrill right at the top of the Great Northern Conference when that book comes out, when we get it in November.
I can tell you his predictions already, but I don't care about predictions. It's about how the season ends.
And Coach, I always found, whether it's always that last game is always the toughest one to take, and then you got to refuel and start going over how much, I don't know, because I don't really ask coaches that this much, so I thought I'd ask you, how much downtime does it need to, because it's such a, when you coach, you put everything you have into it, and you give everything to the guys that you have, and there's so many different factors. Like you said, you lose these great kids to graduation. I'm getting these guys back. We had all the roller coaster of emotions that goes through a season, and how you already said you started diving into stuff. How is there a recuperation process in that at the end of the season before you or is there? People say it's 12 months. There's no downtime, and you just you get a couple days and you just dive right back into it, starting to plan the next stage of what you need for your program to be successful. How does that work for you after the season's done typically?
I think every coach is probably a lot different in how they process and handle things. How the season goes. I like to reflect first on myself, evaluate myself on things I need to improve on and where I can improve as a coach. And then as a team as a whole, are we running the right stuff? Did we, things like that I'll reflect on. And then this year, it's been about, I don't know, was it 2 weeks now? 2 weeks of what ifs, and oh my gosh, can you imagine going through your head of playing that game back and watching it is even as painful as thinking about it. But yeah, now I coach baseball too, so I kind of give myself get our awards voting out there for the banquet, get our banquet date and stuff set up. I get anything that we need ordered for the I'm 100% still in basketball mode. I'm never really out of basketball mode, but I'm 100% keeping my mind busy more or less than thinking of the what ifs, trying to not think about that stuff. So I'm getting thoughts in my head of our golf outing is in July. What do we need to do? Like all leading up, so we're all prepared and everything runs smoothly for the summer. Getting our summer schedule done, which it's pretty much done when I just copy and paste last year's calendar and adjust the days. It doesn't change too much really from that, but this year it is a little bit because Mark Miller didn't really adjust his dates with sports all falling back a week, so we couldn't be in the Marshfield tournament that we're normally in to start the summer, stuff like that. But get that situated. Once I have that all situated, then this year it was kind of up until now still thinking about that East game and trying to get over it more or less, learn from it, but also try to get over it, move on. And that's where I don't normally dig into next year's rosters of the other teams and stuff, but changing conferences, I thought, get re-familiar. I know most of the key players and I know all the coaches, but just guys that might slip under the radar that shoot a good percentage that, next year might be asked to shoot double the amount of shots they have and stuff. Just to kind of get digging a little bit into that. So I'm not too surprised when we start playing them. And again, that was more just the busy work to keep my mind busy. I don't really help with baseball this week when they can do the pitchers and catchers. Coach Schultz lets me stay away yet until after the state tournament. And then Monday comes in and we start baseball practice, and then my focus goes to baseball through spring, and then back summer, and then it's basketball, and football comes, and it's football mixed in with making sure I'm prepared and ready for basketball, and then the season's here. It'll be here before we know it. I just needed to get here really fast.
We have our top of the hour news break coming up, and I know that we haven't even touched on the state tournament or anything else. Are you okay to stick around after?
Yes.
Okay, because
give you the winners for this.
There you go. So we'll be coming back.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
And welcome back. It's the Big High School Sports Show presented by K5 Construction on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. K5 Construction is a family-owned and operated custom builder in central Wisconsin that stands out from the rest for its commitment to quality and excellence. From design and planning to final construction, K5 Construction delivers superior results on every project. Across the way from former Newman Catholic High School boys basketball coach Jeff Gress, I am Chad Holmes. We are down to our final show and a half. One half of this show left to go, and then next week we will put it all together and really kind of big umbrella show where we're going to talk about a lot. Jeff will be here. BJ Brandt will be here talking about the hockey season, and we will, who knows who else we may have. But next week will be the final show of the season. And we are still with Merrill High School boys basketball coach Troy Pieper. Coach, before we get into the state tournament and everything else, I wanted to ask you, because I'm not surprised to hear you talk about the time it takes to get over a tough loss, especially to end the year. And even here, listening to you, that it sticks with you. Does it get easier over the years? Does it get harder over the years? Because I just find it, because I know in talking to Jeff and other coaches, I mean, the emotional toll that sometimes the games themselves take, I think people really don't understand. Do you find, as you've done it for more years, that it does get in any way easier, or does it actually get harder the more work that you put into it?
That's a good question. I don't think it gets easier. I think if it got easier, or if I didn't feel it like I feel it, I think that would be my sign, or my hint to move on and let somebody else take over the program, because that to me just would for whatever reason in my mind say that I'm not quite as invested if it's not, I don't want to say affecting me, but if it doesn't stick with me, if I don't have that same feeling every year, and it's pretty similar every year, the same feeling, like it's more the, there's stages of it. You start with the losing your seniors, like depression stage. I mean, I don't want to use depression as like that kind of like a whatever word, but I mean, like that is kind of the feeling. Like, you don't get to coach these guys anymore. You've watched them. This was my fifth year now back in Merrill. So for like the last 5 years before they were in high school, I've seen these kids grow into the men they are now, and now I don't get to coach them anymore. Like, and every year, the first meeting we have, and the first meeting I already had with my next year's seniors, the first thing I say to them is, you don't understand how fast from now until next year's banquet or next year's graduation is going to go. Like, it's going to fly by, whether you believe me or not, and they never do, because kids know everything. But in a blink of an eye, it's over, and then they're like, oh, I wish I would have, or I wish I could have done, this or that. And you try, every year I try to get across to them how fast this is going to go. And every year, I don't think it's going to go that fast. And I trying to prepare myself so I enjoy the little things, like our bowling tournament we have it with the team, and the holiday tournaments. I guess that as getting older and being 9 years or 10 years of varsity coaching, that's probably what I've learned to learn the most outside of like in game and stuff like that, where I'm always trying to learn. But just the appreciation of, yes, it's a win or loss. Who has the most points? It's a game. It's a competitive game, and you want that to hurt. You want them to hurt. They're never gonna hate a loss as much as I hate a loss, or it's not gonna stick with them as long as it sticks with me. And I get that, but I think I've learned to appreciate those moments, like the bowling tournament, the pizza parties, the holiday tournaments. Those things, those are the memories that, yes, the really big important wins and the crazy overtime wins and almost beating East the 1 seed. All those things are memories that they'll talk about 20, 25 years from now. But it's also those holiday tournaments where they did nothing but goof off in a hotel or whatever. I mean, I've learned to appreciate that stuff more instead of just being like, okay, I'm going in my room and I'm watching film and I'm getting ready for tomorrow's holiday tournament game and nothing else matters. I've learned to kind of, I'm not saying I'm great at this yet, but enjoy the company outside of me telling them how we're going to do things or, the basketball part of it. So, but yeah, as far as it hurting and getting used to it or getting easier, no. because ultimately, us coaches think there's going to be a way that we're going to get to the state tournament, we're going to win. Otherwise, we won't be doing this. And you don't really realize that only 4 teams in our division get the opportunity to play this weekend, and it's very difficult just to get there, much less win it. But you don't even let that sink in until your season's over, and then you're like, oh, I have a question for you guys, though.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm scared now.
Okay. So no, it's something I've seen. I think an Appleton newspaper wrote this or something. It was about the Marshfield game on Saturday. Did you guys see this at all about how bad a shot clock's needed because this team from North Central Wisconsin took advantage of it to advance the state? It was this whole article that was completely wrong, and these people clearly didn't watch the full game. Did you guys see this?
I did not.
Did not see the article, but know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, here's this is what drives me nuts, and I'm a guy that I think the shot clock would help certain things in the game. I really do believe that. I think it would make games actually go quicker in the sense of I don't have to start following with 3 minutes to go or 2 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. There's things like that come in that are going to help the game, but this is not a circumstance of standing on your podium and wanting to have the shot clock. If there was a shot clock in that game, Marshfield probably wins by 50. I'm not trying to be mean to the other team, but that is the truth. Marshfield was just Coach Fisher's not like that, and they just played for layups. They didn't stand at half court. They moved the basketball, they played offense, and they waited until they got layups. And they're that good that they can do that and hold the ball and pass the ball and run offense for a minute and a half and then get a layup. The ultimate killer. It wasn't. Oh, the article just drove me nuts. Just wanted to know if you guys seen it because that's the stuff that drives me nuts.
No, that
person has no clue what they're talking about.
Exactly. I thought about the shot clock watching one of the girls' games over the weekend. There was a game. I think it was maybe in the game that went triple overtime, but at the end of regulation, there was like 90 seconds to go, and they decided to settle for one shot. And that's the time that it's like, oh. You don't want it to be a tie game, and then all of a sudden you just milk it for 90 seconds and do it in that way. That's
a girls' game. There was a game too where I think it was a girls' game actually. Oh, it was the state tournament, the overtime. Like the first or second overtime, they held it for like almost the entire overtime.
Yeah.
Well, I get you don't want to not score, let them score, but somebody has to score, otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Right.
We have to try to score at some point.
No, you're exactly.
That's a good point of where shot clock would help the game, and
in fact,
it would help.
In fact, I'm old enough to remember back before the first time that college basketball went to the shot clock, because there was not a shot clock in college basketball until I think like the early 80s. But the original shot clock, there was a conference that just used it in the last, I think, 4 minutes. It's like, that's where they put the toe in the water to see, because they got tired of with a number of minutes to go in the game. All of a sudden, you take the air out of it, and the whole game comes to a halt. And then, basically, it becomes a foul shooting contest. But I think, generally, I don't see a lot of times where I think, whoa, we need a shot clock. But you do see it in those situations, because I've not seen it in a long time.
The game is what it's not like I say this all the time when people are like, oh, but if we get a shot clock, then kids are going to be taking bad shots at the end of the shot clock. I'm like, I don't know if my team has, I don't know if it would be 35 seconds. I don't know how many times I could probably count on my hand that we've purposely tried to or not purposely tried to hold the ball for 35 seconds without either turning it over or taking a bad shot before any buzzer goes off. Like, I don't think the shot clock is going to force bad teams to be worse than what some people think it's going to be. Now, I will say a compliment to us, I think a little bit, is we scared East enough where they kind of did that at the end of our game. The 5 minutes to go up 2, they pulled it out and kind of just hung on. But I know that it wasn't their style of playing, so we didn't overreact because they're not used to playing that way. So it actually ended up being a benefit to us. But that's just going back to that damn game.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we've debated that before, and when we've had a couple minutes at the end of the show, and it comes back and forth all the time because some of the neighboring states do it, some people want it. I agree with your argument where just go to the article first with Marshfield. Marshfield is a team that if you've watched any of their games, they could play a lot of different styles of basketball. They're so diversified in what they can bring to the table, which is why they're where they're at. They just, what do you want them to play? Do you want them to hold the ball? Do you want them to fast break on you? Do you want them to hit the outside shot? You want them to go and take it in on? I mean, they're all over the place.
They're up 25-30. If they played like they did that whole game, now they're the bullies that are being mean because they continue to shoot and continue to score. Like, what do you want from them? It's not. Right. They weren't hanging on to nothing. That game was over early.
Right. And
like it's
and then you go to the shot clock, and I think you're right. Teams, they're going to be shooting it well before that, and coaches are going to figure it out once if it became part of the game that, hey, we're going to have to balance our offense this way to have the quality that we want on the offensive end. And I still think that until they can find the hang up in everybody being able to afford one, having that extra. I mean, sometimes, it's just like any job right now. It's hard to find people to work everything that when you need. How many job shorts are there? So now you need another person at the table to operate the shot clock. It's just, I think there's so many things working against it, even though I don't think it would hurt the game.
It wouldn't hurt the game. I think it would help the end of game situation. Yeah. I think it would help coaches realize they don't have to do some of the stuff they do at end of games the way they do it now with no shot clock. It ends up hurting you more. So often you'll see teams that you clearly realize when you're watching the game that they weren't expecting to win the game, because as soon as they get a lead with a few minutes to go, they're trying to hold on to that lead, not even trying to score. And it's like, you're going to lose this game. Like, you can't, like, they're high school kids. They're going to make a mistake. The ref's going to miss a call, or something's going to go bad where you're not even getting shot attempts now. And so often you see it, and it's just like a shot clock would help those coaches realize, let's just play basketball. Like, if we're meant to win, we're meant to win. Like, and I get it. There's times, of course, where they need to foul, so you're holding the ball and all that. But it's just sometimes it gets so extended. But that Marshfield game was not that.
No.
I just was wondering if you guys seen it. It drove me nuts when I read it.
I'm gonna have to look for that article, because that was definitely not a factor on why Marshfield won that basketball game. No way, no.
It would have been worse. That's the thing. If
Yeah.
it was a shot clock, that game would have been much, much worse.
Hey, let's jump in. Let's start talking about what we're going to see starting tomorrow down in Madison at the Kohl Center, the 2025 WIAA State Boys Basketball Tournament, and see whether you guys – and actually, I went back and I listened to a little bit of last year when you were on here predicting. And
I did very well.
I can't even remember. Hey, now hold on. Before we start this, Chad, are you in on this? Are you going to make your prediction too? Or are you going to? Oh, come on! I'm going to keep track here.
All right.
And then we'll talk about it next week.
All right.
I'll write it all down as you guys predict and I predict.
I'm not the expert.
Keep track, so you can go back next week and be like, look at Bieber got all of these wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and actually make the prediction. That's fine. I get it.
I noticed though last year, Coach, that you had your heart in the right place for certain teams. I appreciate that, because that's the way I normally am as well. So, but
this year a little bit. That's a lot of it.
All right,
if you know me, you can understand that little comment. But, all right, so Division I.
Yep, Division I, game number 1, Friday at 6:35. Number 1 seed Wisconsin Lutheran 26-2. Number 4 seed Oshkosh North 19-9. Game number 2 follows number 2 seed Waunakee 23-5. Number 3 seed Marshfield 22-6.
And just to set the state, I'm only writing down the winner that you pick. We're not doing we'll say which game maybe, but it's the winner at the end of the day. Is how we're going. Who could get closer?
Wisconsin Lutheran playing Marshfield in the championship. And this is a little bit of heart, but I've had to deal with these guys for 4 years, and it's not fun to deal with. And I welcome any shot clock in that game. I'm taking Marshfield to win the state championship.
Jeff,
Division I this year.
Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I'm not as.
No, you don't get to criticize my picks. No.
I'm not. No. I'm saying I'm on the same boat with you. With I want to be the home or the local guy, the Marshfield guy, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Waunakee. I like they have 3 scores. That was a tough sectional win that they had. I think it was an OT over Sun Prairie East, and I think that it might. I'm hoping it deep down. I'm hoping it's Marshfield.
Fun fact for that. Fun fact.
Go ahead.
The last time Waunakee at the state tournament had to face a Wisconsin Valley team, I think they lost. I believe they lost to a team with a mascot of the Blue Jays, with a guy named Paul Jesperson and Sam Arneson. So, just saying, they might not want to really deal with Wisconsin Valley Conference play, but we'll see.
Gotcha. Okay, Chad?
But so you're taking Waunakee to win it all?
Win it all.
Okay. I like Marshfield. I think they got a gear. I don't know why. I think that, and the thing that kind of jumps out, I mean, Landon Lee did not score in the sectional final. They seem to have guys that can just step up, you know, and he'll score 25 the next game. Or, I mean, it's fantastic. And Hinson has that gear. I mean, he's the best player to be out there, in my opinion.
They can win in any style.
Yes. Some days, you know.
That's the thing that's dangerous for them.
So
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I just gotta. I'm gonna be different too than you guys.
I'm gonna go with Marshfield there. So that's Division 1. Division 2 semifinals Friday starting at 1:35. Number 1 seed Racine Park 26-2. Number 4 seed Cedarburg, who is 20-8. Game number 2 seed Wauwatosa West 22-6. Number 3 seed Wausau East 20-7. Let's let Jeff start this one.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with a little bit of research I did on Racine. Again, I want the home teams to win. I want East to win it all deep down, but I'm going to go with Racine Park. They got this Moss kid that's a pretty good stud in what he can score. They also, you know, that's a tough one because a lot of those sectional finals, not only did East, but also did Racine Park. They won by quite a few. Racine Park did outstanding in a tough conference, I thought. So I'm going with, they were 13-1 in their conference schedule, so I'm going Racine Park.
And do you think East is going to get to the championship game?
I hope so. I hope so. I want them to. Tosa West is a tough draw. They're a good team. So, but you know, it's I don't know. This is just my take on State going down there. It is, that first game is tough. It's who can get that adjustment faster to knock the ball in the basket. From what I see a lot, it's so, who can shoot the ball better, faster, with all the emotion, the adrenaline, all those emotional factors running high right away. So I hope they win. I don't think they have an easy draw in Tosa West, but I would like to see them in the championship. I'd like to see them win it all, but I'm going to pick Racine Park just because that's where I see the numbers going.
I
don't have the same hopes that Gress has for that side of town, but I think it's also going to be Racine Park, and I think it's going to be against Wauwatosa West. It's a good division. All 4 teams are good in this division, though. Really good. I mean, every team in the state is, but this is a tough draw for all 4, really. I think, to start off with, but I think Racine Park's just a better team.
And I feel good because I was going to lead the coach. Coach has to get this one because this is the division you're in. So I feel good now that we made the same pick. That I pulled something out of my backside there.
There was one team I wasn't picking regardless, so that's not very good research or knowing my division. That's just. I won't do it. So I'm going with what I think is the best team, and that's Racine Park.
And I agree with that. And it's actually not a bad story. Racine Park is not a school that has appeared at state all that often over the years. In fact, the last time that they were in a state championship game was back 60 years or so. I mean, it's just been a very long goal, and I like seeing that. Racine Park, last time they were in the state tournament was 1960. 1960.
We just jinxed them.
Yeah.
Jinxed them by all 3 picking them.
But 1960,
long time.
I mean, not just in the final, but at state itself. So it's a really good story. I'm curious to see. I like it when you see some of these schools and I think East will be the same way. It adds an energy when we're watching the games. But I'm gonna go with Racine Park in D2 as well. So Division 3, game number 1, Freedom, 27-1, number 1 seed, taking on number 4 seeded Elk Mound, who is 24-4. Game number 2, Milwaukee Academy of Science, 23-1, against number 3 seed Lake Mills. Coach, what do you think?
First of all, I get 27-1 or whatever their record is, really impressive. Milwaukee Academy of Science should be the 1 seed. I get 1 seeds don't really matter in a 4-team. You got to beat anybody. But Milwaukee Academy of Science, I think, is going to win this. I think Elk Mound's actually going to beat Freedom. There's my kind of, if you want to call it, upset pick at state tournament. I think Elk Mound against Milwaukee Academy of Science, and I think Milwaukee Academy of Science is going to win in a game that's probably going to be one of the championship games that aren't going to be real close or entertaining, I don't think.
I'm on that same boat. I think the scoring that they have between the Bateman kid and the Brown and the coach's kid, they just, I mean, they averaged. I looked up their scoring average. I think it was 87 points a game as a team. They averaged. I mean, it's average. So I just think that same thing. I don't think you can control they've been top of the polls. They've been putting people down in different divisions, even not just D3. They've been real successful all year long, and I think they're going to run away with that state title in D3.
I agree with that as well. I saw a story from one of the Milwaukee stations online recently talking to the kids on the team and just hearing them talk, and I think they have a focus right now. They got the talent as well. And again, I agree with Coach as well that it's a little bit odd that they are the number 2 seed, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not to open up that can of worms, but and state is the same way. They put it into the computer too, right? For state,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't remember off the top of my head because I've heard. My thing is, does it come into play?
I'll let you know next year when we're in
there you go.
Well, is Milwaukee the one thing when I was looking up a little bit on on their team are if everything's punched in correctly, they only had 24 games.
Yep.
And I don't think they're in a conference either, correct? Or are they? I want to say they're not. They thought they were in the independent, labeled in the independent category. So I don't know. Those things
at the end of the regular season, I was actually looking at the Division III state rankings recently, and everybody else had 24 games, and they had 20 games at the end of the regular season. So
I don't know if those things hurt you if it's getting stuck into the computer.
Could be.
I mean,
if it is computer, 27-1 is just going to spit out a 1 seed. So it could be. I mean, that really could be. It could still. It probably does go by computer. I don't know, but
before we jump into D4, guys, we're getting a lot of the same picks here, so we got to make this D4 and D5 intro. Well, the only one that's going to weigh out that Division 1, it's all going to come down to that.
We don't want make believe. It just has to happen the way it happens.
I know. I'm just saying,
make believe here.
So far, we've had some. So either great minds think alike, or nobody wants to win bad enough. Let's go.
Division 4 tomorrow at 6:35. Number 1 seed Bondwell, 27-1. Number 4 seed Prairie School, 14-15. Game number 2, number 2 seed Mineral Point, 27-1. Number 3 seed Aquinas, 24-3. Mr. Private School grad, are you going to go with Aquinas here?
Well, no, I'm not actually. This was a time, and I'm intrigued at the Prairie School at 14-15 coming into the state tournament with a losing record. Those are scary teams. I watched in D5 Green Bay do New Lutheran do that for a number of years, and they end up winning it, which says something about their conference and the higher divisions that they're playing at in their conference and non-conference schedule. I like Bondwell. I've liked them all year, but I'm going with Mineral Point at 27-1. They had a handful of kids that could put the ball in the basket, 3-4 guys that consistently score in double digits, and I just think that the conference they played in was pretty tough from top to bottom. So I'm going with Mineral Point. And they won. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they win it last year?
That's a good question.
I thought Mineral Point won it last year too, so they're going to defend it this year, in my opinion. I'm going with Mineral Point.
Memory is so bad here.
I don't.
I'm going to go second here, and you are right again, Gress. They did win last season the state championship. So.
Right. Well,
but I'm going to go with Bondwell because I didn't think they played at the top of their game against Auburndale Saturday, and they still won by double digits. I think they got a gear that they can reach. I think that they have good experience in terms of the last 2 years making deep runs. They came up short against a really good Marathon team last year in the sectional final. So I do think Bondwell is going to find a way to get the gold ball. Coach?
All right, I have Bondwell in the championship, but really I think the winner of that other game between Mineral Point and the private school is going to win it. And I think actually it's going to be Mineral Point. God, I'm agreeing with Grass. This is killing me.
Yeah, I know.
I think he's gonna win.
Well, this means that we'll have to go to Division 5 because I think there's a definite chance of all three ending up the same through 4 divisions because the differences in D1 and D4. Again, with the math, we'll say that we could all end up being the same record. But Division 5 tomorrow.
I have very little research here.
Same here. I stay in central Wisconsin. We don't go all the way outside.
I'll go first if you guys are ready.
But division, relax.
Getting excited.
Let me introduce the games here.
Sorry.
I'm thinking of our listeners out there, all three of them.
Well,
okay,
it's getting competitive here. I'm getting antsy. I can't sit
Division 5 semifinals Friday morning at 9:05. Number 1 seed Cochrane Fountain City, 26-2 against number 4 Turtle Lake, 21-5. And then game 2, number 2 seed Sheboygan Lutheran against number 3 seed Abundant Life Christian, 24-4 against 23-6. And who wants to go first? We're gonna let Coach go
ahead,
first.
Coach, go.
Okay, because there's no research here. That's the only reason I picked this team. I picked Cochrane Fountain City to make the championship game, and I think I could even be wrong on this, but didn't Decker play at Sheboygan North?
Yes. Sheboygan Lutheran.
Sheboygan Lutheran. Same thing, Sheboygan. That's the only reason. Sam Decker lived in Sheboygan, I guess. So Sheboygan North to win it all.
Lutheran.
So
Whoever.
So since this is the division I always coached in, things I looked at. I thought Turtle Lake. We knew some of the teams in Rib Lake and Prentice that they beat, so some familiarity there with that 21-5 record. Cochrane Fountain City, I think, came out of the Columbus Catholic sectional, which we know what Columbus Catholic can be about and how well they do. But I'm hoping also the Abundant Life. How do you say the whole thing? Abundant Life
Christian.
Just that, and that's the school, right? Is that the one down south? What's the school that had the shooting?
That is, I believe. Yes.
Sometimes you want to see
I'm going to change my vote then.
Well, okay. Well, that's what I'm just saying. Sometimes you want to see a feel-good story out of some tragedy, have something good happen for the school. So you want to switch them now?
Yeah, I'm going to take. Because there's more current lack of research, but just go with the heartstrings on that one. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with Abundant Life Christian. That's a good.
And I like the fact that I got to talk you out of that, because now
I know exactly. I could see it coming.
Now I'm taking Sheboygan Lutheran, because the research I did on those guys, they beat Ullman Baycroft up, who's been tough all year, 30. By 30 in the sectional final. And in D5 sometimes they have scores of 16, 15, and 13. And when you got that type of dynamics, it's kind of picking your kid. And Coach, I think it's still Coach Verhagen was there when his son went through, who played from the time he was a freshman to a senior, and they made a couple runs. They made it to state a couple times. Can't remember if they even won one, and obviously there's also the Decker piece and all that. So I'm going Sheboygan Lutheran.
And I'm going to Sheboygan Lutheran as well, because we both have black hearts.
Great.
Yeah. Well, you come out better to all the listeners here, Coach, with that pick. So we're
what's Abundant Life Christian's record? Do they even have a chance?
They're 23-6.
They're good. I've heard.
They're good. They'll be fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that pick.
So there you got it. Do not take this to Vegas, please. This is not the deep dive with all the computers, but it's fun to keep an eye on. Gress has written down all the picks here, so we're gonna
post them somewhere. So
there you go.
I'll take a screenshot. Chad can post it on the website, so it's there.
Coach, it's been fun as always. Again, I always appreciate you being on the program. Chill a little bit here before baseball, and that's great. And that's one thing as well I want to mention, when the coaches are involved in more than one sport. I think we talk a lot about multi-sport athletes, and then we have the multi-sport coaches as well, and being there for the kids. That's fantastic as well. So get out there, enjoy some sun during the spring on the baseball diamond.
Will do. Appreciate all you guys do as well.
Absolutely. That is.
Enjoy the state tournament.
There you go. We're going to keep a close eye on all these games now. That's head coach Troy Pieper of the Merrill Blue Jays joining us here this evening. We're going to take a timeout, come back, and kind of talk about what's going on.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a minute here on 98.9 WXCO.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the WIAA, are the 178,000 high school sports students in Wisconsin. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball and volleyball players. we stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible, because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
And welcome back. Big High School Sports Show presented by K5 Construction, 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. With Jeff Gress, I'm Chad Holmes, and let's touch on the girls' state basketball tournament. One of the good things about the boys this weekend is we do have, I think, a few more area teams, and you like to see that. You like to have teams that you've seen in person and playing down on the big court. But in the girls tournament, didn't have really much from Central Wisconsin. The one team from the conferences that we cover on a rather regular basis was Assumption, and they were able to find a way. They defeated Owen Withy in the semi 61-36. Barneveld beat Lourdes Academy 41-28 in the other semifinal. And then in a championship game where both teams had the hardest time putting the ball in the hole. It was not, I would say, one of the great games. It was competitive, obviously, but in the end, Assumption beat Barneveld 34-30. You have to give a lot of credit to Assumption. There was a year that they came in after a disappointment not getting to state a year ago. I think there was some pressure. They were a team that was expected to get there and then expected to win, and they did it.
Yeah, it's one thing I think that at the end of the day, you can say you finished business from start of the season to the end of the season. That's a big deal. And for Assumption, a 30-1 mark. They came out in the state semi and owned Owen Withy. Just, I think they set a state record for turnovers, if I remember correctly. And it showed in the score. And that's been kind of their thing they've rested their hat on all year long, has been that press and the ability to take that transition defense and create the offense out of it, which leads to probably higher percentage shots, makes it difficult for the other team to get comfortable. And to do that on the state floor, I think is harder to do. You're all of a sudden on a college, even though the teams go and practice a couple times before they go down there on some bigger courts. I still think it's one thing to do that and then another thing to execute that plan. And for Assumption, you got to give them props in that consistency and finishing the season out. And even the championship, which was really low scoring, they were still able to create and get about 20 turnovers out of Barneveld and force that. So you tip their hat to them on the defensive side and what they did, and had an excellent senior class to lead them through that.
And actually interesting to take a look at who won in terms of seeds, because sometimes you think, how accurate are they? You had the number 1 seed, Assumption, win Division 5. In Division 4, it was a number 4 seed, Cuba City, who seems to win state championships. I think they set a record, I don't know, it's the 5th decade that they've won at least one state championship. Number 4, Cuba City, defeated number 2, St. Mary Catholic, 53-50. Then you had number 2, Oostburg, defeat another number 4 seed that made it to the final, Xavier. Of course, they had ended the dream season of Wittenberg-Burnhamwood in the sectionals, but Oostburg defeated Xavier 49-36. Then the game that probably had the most ink in terms of the tournament, the triple overtime game between Wauwatosa East and Edgewood, and that was a 1-2 matchup. Edgewood fell to Wauwatosa East 59-58. And then finally, number 1 seed Kimberly defeated Muskego 47-26. And the thing that kind of jumped out about D1 for me, none of the games were that great. I mean, sometimes I'm always tooting the horn to get those 8 teams back to state in Division 1. My horn tooting did not get much in terms of evidence, because the Division 1 games just were not all that competitive.
Well, and if you start at the D1, we work our way back up to the 4. The Kimberly, who was 29-1, we saw Appleton East hit that last second shot against Spash was that the sectional semi? And Appleton East went down there and had a hard time with Kimberly. And even in the D1 state game.
And that's a conference matchup.
Yeah.
And hard.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see is the blowout. And Kimberly took it to Muskego 47-26. And if you just, the stat differential, like for Kimberly versus Muskego, I think Kimberly had 3 double-digit scores and Muskego didn't have a single one. I mean, they only put 26 points. The chances are a lot less of that happening, but that makes a big difference. So obviously, as a spectator and a fan, you want a little more excitement in those games, selfishly. Tosa East, they played well where they defeated Edgewood in that championship. Edgewood's no slouch. I think that was a double overtime triple overtime game where they won by 1. And and here's the funny thing about how those games going so tight they could come down to one mistake. Edgewood shot better in the whole game in their shooting percentage. They had more leads. The time of leading the game was a ton more than Tosa East was, and they actually had less turnovers. Edgewood did, and they still lost by 1 because it went to triple overtime. So it comes down in those tight games to one mistake here or there where the other team can finagle their way. Utzberg, you got to give them some pride. We know how good Burnwood was for them to get knocked out up in our area. Utzberg at 29-2, again controlled that championship game against Xavier. And again, that one from what I saw was came down to shooting at the line. I mean, it was Utzberg, I think, attempted 22 free throws for 86% because they made 19 of them, where the other team, Xavier, in that championship game had about 6 attempts. So it just makes a big difference when you get to the line more. And Cuba City, it's kind of a been there, done that thing. There's exceptional tradition and pride based on what they've accomplished over the years that, it shows sometimes too how the seeding down there can not necessarily always be dead on when you got the number 4 team winning, and they won a tight one in a 3-point game against St. Mary's. Again, looking at the stats that I looked at, Cuba City was able to put up 36 in the paint versus the 14 that they had that St. Mary's had in the paint for point wise. And St. Mary's also, they made 10 threes but shot 29. So it seemed like it was a difference of the game, of the inside-outside game between two, and Cuba City won that war by 3.
Let's look at, we talked about the state tournament on the boys' side, so picking the games, but how these area teams got there, and maybe some of the area teams that didn't get there. Starting in D1, Marshfield, their hardest game was that regional final against Stevens Point, because once they got past Bash, they were able to really take care of business in the sectionals. They first defeated Eau Claire Memorial for the second time this year, 58-47. Brooks Hinson, 24 points, 8 rebounds. Chris Pohl had 11 points and 7 rebounds, and Valen Ramberg had 10 points as well. And actually, no, I'm sorry, that was in the sectional final against Kimberly. Actually, Hinson had 22 against Eau Claire Memorial, 9 of 13 field goals, and Landon Lee had 12 points and 9 assists in that game against ECM. And then Marshfield defeated Kimberly, the number 13 seed, who made it all the way to the sectional final. They had knocked off Kaukauna in the sectional semifinal, and those wars between Kaukauna and Kimberly, I mean, they're neighbors over there. And for the 13 seed to beat the number 1 seed, just a massive win for Kimberly, and then they really had nothing left for Marshfield, 62-35. Hinson again 24 points, Chris Pohl 11, Ramberg 10. But Marshfield very impressive in the sectionals.
Well, and what I love about these state games is you know what you're getting out of your best players anyways, and then when they even show up a little more. I mean, I was watching Hinson take some deep threes, and he was feeling it. He was drilling those shots against the opposition, and I think in both the sectional semi and the sectional final, Marshfield just showed up and did what Marshfield did. They're gonna beat you up for a good look offensively. They've got a number of different players that can put the ball in the basket. You can throw whatever defense or style of play you want at them, and they're going to adjust and find a way to win by beating you with that style of play. And, give Kimberly credit for making that there as the 13th seed. That's quite a chore right there. But Marshfield owned them in the sectional final, and good for them with this group after the, finishing undefeated in the conference at the time of their regular season when they were 20-6, and now they're 22-6 and ready to watch them play that final games down at state.
They showed that any issues they had with non-conference opponents was a regular season phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because they did have some issues during the regular season, but boy, when they got to the playoffs, they took care of business, and as I said, the hardest game was against a conference opponent.
Right, and I just, the balanced attack they have when you have to be the opposition and when you're Wanakee going into that game as to what you're going to defend, there's a lot of different moving pieces in that with the size they have that can handle the ball and hit the outside. Their big guys can hit outside shots easily from behind the arc if you leave them open. So it comes down to a matter, what I watch out of Marshfield every time, they spread the floor on you and let different guys work, and they wait for the breakdown. And Hinson and Lee are so good at reading that, whether they take to the ball the basket, they make the outside shot on you, or they hit the guy cutting right in stride. And we've talked about it a number of times when those guys haven't shown up in the points category and Marshfield's still rolling because they're doing something else. They're creating. They're playing defense on the toughest player. And again, I know I didn't pick them, but I hope they win it.
Division 2, another Wisconsin Valley Conference team heading to state is Wausau East. Their tough game was in the sectional semifinal against number 6 seeded New Richmond. New Richmond had beat Rhinelander the previous Monday, and then New Richmond gave East all they could handle, led by 3 at halftime. Game went to overtime, but East ended up winning 70-68. Jesse Napgezik, 20 points. Jaden Garrett, 14. Charlie Cayley, 13 points, 9 rebounds. And then East, no trouble at all against West Salem in the sectional final, winning 82-45. It was over quickly. 44-18 Jacks at halftime. Jesse Napgezik, 38 points in a sectional final. Charlie Cayley, 11 points and 18 rebounds. Watching the game early, and I saw the first half of that game, I right away was saying West Salem was letting Napgezik do whatever he wanted. Yep. I mean, you
can't do that with him. He'll kill you. And he did.
And they weren't changing anything, and I just thought that was exceptionally odd way of trying to defend Wausau East.
Well, and what I like for East is obviously, again, happy to see another local team down at state, well-deserved, time put in by the players and coaches. And, sometimes it's those tougher games that you got to get through that really gel everybody and get that ultimate confidence. Not that the confidence isn't there, but it just gets you that ultimate unbeatable level together. And for East, they won the game in OT. New Richmond was not an easy game. They were first half, from what I watched a little bit in the game, struggling to put the ball in the basket a little bit, and then they took over more on the inside, which gave them a little gap. They were still pressure packed all the way down to the end when one of the New Richmond guys hit the shot, and then he took over a little bit in OT, and that was the end of that game. And for the sectional final, I can't remember last time I've seen some team just come out, dominate, take control, ownership, never take the foot off the pedal, and that you had a running clock in a sectional final game. I don't remember that happening. And to give credit to the East program, their players, their coaches, it was an outstanding win, and you can't complain on that way to punch your ticket game. You've dominated the sectional final. A lot of guys were contributing at a lot of different levels. Your guy that's been your leading scorer just went off and took over, and those types of things all culminate into good things going into that game against a good Tosa West team. But I think that's what you want out of this. You need that confidence right away to start. And what a feeling for both Marshfield and East, those programs, to get down there after, I think, Marshfield was 94, correct, their last appearance, and I think East was 2007, if I remember the years that were announced on the sports. So these kids, it's a whole coaches, kids. It's most people are gone from those times, and this is a new breed of kids that get to do this, and it's going to be a lot of fun and things that they're going to do for the first time. So congratulations to those programs. I hope they both win it, and always want to slow down and enjoy that time down there. But for us as spectators, I think it's also selfish. We get to watch two local teams, which is cool.
Division 4, Auburndale made it to the sectional final after defeating Stratford 62-49. Blake Rabb, 23 points. Peyton Weinfurter, 17 for Auburndale. Drew Brusewitz had 17, the only double-digit score for Stratford, and even he struggled from the field, 2 of 10. I was saying last week, you were not going to pick against your buddies, both your coaching Merrill South buddies there. But I said that I thought Stratford, the way that they dominated in the regionals, Auburndale should have been out in the first playoff game. I mean, again, it was a case where Auburndale survived Colby after seeing Colby miss some free throws late. They survived Marathon on a last-second tip-in, and then they played their best game against Stratford, winning 62-49, but then they faced Bondwell. But first, that Stratford-Auburndale game, I have to say I was a little surprised, but boy, sometimes when you do have those familiar opponents, it is a wild card, isn't it?
It is, and I think it comes down to that day. Both of them were in bigger gyms. I mean, they don't play in that especially if you want to bake it, Auburndale's got a better gym space than Stratford does size-wise.
Right.
So whether that comes into play and the kids seeing what they're shooting in the background, those things all at that stage of the game can affect the percentages that go up and down offensively. when I watched the game, which isn't evident in the final score, Stratford came back a couple times. They got down one time. Auburndale was just rolling, shots going, getting the looks they wanted in their offense. The big guys were sealing, getting putbacks, kids hitting from the outside, even though Stratford's working their tail off, and Stratford just didn't answer on the other end offensively numerous times, and it created a gap. I think it got up by 16-18, and a couple times Stratford came back twice. One of the times they knocked it back down to 6. But those are hard feats to do, to conjure up that energy multiple times to try to break that lead. So you give Stratford credit on that. Auburndale obviously was a better team that night in the way they executed and how they were able to convert and play on the offensive end.
And then Auburndale fell to Bondwell in the sectional final, 56-44. And again, I thought Bondwell played fine, but I thought they could have been better. I mean, that's a scary kind of team. And it was a day for Auburndale where it didn't feel like they were getting any breaks, number one. I thought a couple times they had a couple bad breaks. It was just a tough game, and Bondwell obviously is just very good.
Yeah, and athletically, I think Bondwell wins out athletically a little bit. I just think Auburndale's always played a little better than they are as an athletic, skilled team.
They maximize everything,
right.
Don't they?
And so sometimes, unfortunately, athlete versus athlete, you win out, and I just thought Bondwell was a little quicker on the court, found gaps a little bit easier, and harassed Auburndale pretty well on defense, even though I also agreed with you. I'm like, I was waiting for Bondwell in this dominant performance, and it wasn't there, but I think that that's going to show up at the state level.
Division 5, we had from the Merrill North, Rib Lake and Prentice in a sectional semifinal. They had split the games during the regular season. Each team won on the road. It was a halftime lead for Prentice, 25-20, but then Rib Lake came from behind to win it, 44-41. Talon Scheidauer had 17, Seth Borkart 10 for Rib Lake. They advanced then to the sectional final against top-seeded Turtle Lake, and Turtle Lake had an 8-point lead at halftime, and it was an 8-point win, 53-45. But obviously a good run for Rib Lake, a number 4 seed, but in the end came up just short.
Well, and again, I think it's starting to sell the quality that the Merrill North is getting stronger over the past couple of years. You've got, and it's neat to see that because this is what Auburndale Stratford Marathon are constantly talking about, is that war in the sectionals to get to state or get through or get to the next level. And now to see Rib Lake Prentice battle out in that sectional semi was kind of a step in the right direction, I think, to say that those northern teams are getting a little stronger and more competitive, and I like to see that when you can have as close as we can with some teams around the area, get down there and try to do your best. But obviously ran into Turtle Lake for Rib Lake and not able to overcome it. And Rib Lake, Prentice, that's what you'd expect, going back and forth a little bit based on how the two in-season conference games went.
And then maybe a little south of us, CWC South, Alman Bancroft beat Pacelli in another rematch of conference opponents in the semifinal, 66-42. It was actually tight at halftime, 26-23, but then Alman pulled away. And in the sectional final, Sheboygan Lutheran really took it to Alman, 67-37. And Alman had such a good year, but boy, that it looked like they were kind of outclassed in that final.
Yeah, it's sometimes I'm always amazed at the score disparities that can pop up in some of these sectionals where you think a team is rolling, or they're really good in an area, or they came from your sectional and like, wow, we got beat up by them, and now look what happened the next game. And for Alman, they had some key pieces. They had some good shooting. They had some guard play. They had Phillips, the big kid who was returning all-stater for them from the team last year that went to state. I'm pretty sure, give me that look. I'm pretty sure they went to state. I think they did because he was a junior when they went to all-state, and the Lamb guard kid was a senior.
I think you're right.
I can't remember tell me where they finished, because I'm curious if they made it to the championship or they lost.
I got to find it.
But for that Sheboygan Lutheran, that side of the state's tough when you get to some of those games and you drag them into the sectionals with you. They're just that side of the state, a lot different basketball, and I like to see sometimes when Central Wisconsin can get some props. But two teams in the conference with Alman beating Pacelli.
And Alman lost in the semis last year.
That's right.
And then finally, your buddy Konishny at Columbus, they made it to the sectional semifinals, but came up short in their semifinal game, falling to Cochrane Fountain City 60-51. But after losing a lot from that state championship game a year ago, they had another solid season.
Yeah, I think you got to be proud of that because did well in conference, won a lot of big games there, was still a formidable foe for anybody that played them. Obviously, Coach Konitschke and his program have a lot of respect for the way they play and what they're able to do. And I got to say, after you lose, I mean, the caliber of players that they lost, where they had 3 kids, I think all 3 were All-State. I think they were all 3 players of the year in the conference. They had all been big parts of that state championship run last year that they had. And to lose that much, and it's not, I don't know what you want to call it. I'm not going to label it as a rebuild, but to have kids coming back and making things happen, and it's promising things to build in the future and a good finish to the season.
We got about 3 minutes to go.
Well, are you going to be? Let me ask you this: in the state tournament, are you going to be disappointed without 6 teams down there from Division I?
Of course. Okay. I want 8. I know. It's we'll hope for the best. Hopefully, it'll be a great tournament. And again, it's great to have, especially on Friday, to have East play late afternoon Friday, and then Marshfield played late in the evening on Friday night. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Do you did you watch the girls' attendance this year? I did not look at those numbers.
I didn't see what the numbers were, but they didn't look. I thought they looked all right.
Because I'll be honest, after when just our chatters and talk about stuff, I get worried about that attendance. And here again, you don't have, one of the things was, I'm looking Mineral Point's probably the closest, right? In the mat, sometimes when they don't have that draw from the mat, and Wanakee, I guess. So I guess we'll see where it plays out for the boys. I'm hoping to, high school sports. I think it always has been to me. I know you too. It's just such a big deal. The authenticity in it, the way you take the kids that just come to your school through the enrollment, geographical locations, and you have to make some of it. You're not, going out and getting your players with NIL money and all that stuff. And you got to take the team that you're dealt and develop it. And I think it's a big deal that our state tournaments thrive, and that they're good experiences, that they're memorable, that they're things kids want to attain and try to get in their high school careers.
All right, the attendance for last weekend in Green Bay, 36,344, which is down slightly from last year, which was about 1,000 more, about equal to the last year pre-COVID, which was 2019. The Thursday and Friday sessions were up from last year, but Championship Saturday was down considerably, especially the D1-2 evening session, which was down 1,800 from last year. So they were actually 800 ahead going into the last session of the tournament. So I guess there's a little bit half and half here.
I often wonder, the games.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.